And welcome in, everyone. Alex Micheletti had a late scheduling change, so we're going to do a quick little preview for the Mavericks here for this upcoming weekend. They've been off the ice since December 15th and 16th when they played Bemidji State. They did get swept in Mankato. And like other teams here in Minnesota, not any exhibition games, no holiday tournament. They'll go right back at it at CCHA play when they go on the road to Northern Michigan. Let's take a look at some of the CCHA standings and why this is actually a very important matchup for both squads. Northern Michigan currently sitting sixth in the CCHA, 18 points with a conference record of 7-5-0. They have 2 games in hand, though, on the Mavericks, so this is huge. Minnesota State currently in third, that 24 points are only 1 point behind the top-seeded Bemidji State and Michigan Tech Huskies. They have 14 games played. Their record 7-6-1 in the conference. Overall, Minnesota State is 10-9-1, a plus 12 goal differential. So coming out of a holiday break where they haven't seen the ice or any really competition for the last 3 or so weeks, it's going to be a really good test for Minnesota State to try to get back to their ways of defensive first hockey, try to get some ignition from some of their offensive players that have struggled so far this season. And hopefully maybe the holiday break, I know Alex had said before they looked a little banged up. Hopefully they can get some things rolling here in the second half. They'll have to do it again against Northern Michigan. So let's look at some of the history between these two squads, CCHA rivals. 23-8-3 in favor of Minnesota State since 2013, essentially. Minnesota State has really owned this matchup. In fact, they've had won 3 of the past 5 matchups. Last loss coming actually back in November when they split against Northern Michigan at home in Mankato. It was a 4-1 victory on the Saturday matchup, a 3-2 loss in Mankato again on that Friday matchup. Last year going the last 2 before then, it was a combined 12-2 kaputting by Minnesota State over Northern Michigan. So Mavericks looking to continue their winning ways. Again, so far this season, having a little bit of difficult time with consistency, and will have a good test on their hand here to open up the second half of the season. Also, not feeling great under the weather this week was our friend Christian Babcock, who covers Bemidji State. Bemidji, we talked about their matchup coming with this weekend. They have, oh my gosh, what a test. It's going to be the University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs. And how about this? A home and home. So a non-conference matchup, their last of the season. Both teams looking to try to essentially secure themselves into the standings. For Minnesota Duluth, sitting very much outside the pairwise right now. They're at 33rd in the pairwise standings. But here's the thing with Minnesota Duluth. We talked with Max. The NCAA seems to be the route that they may want to take to try to get into the NCAA tournament. Again, we're so far back halfway through the season, they almost would have to win out. But they can make some noise here with Bemidji State being their opponent. Let's talk about the Beavers. They're sitting, 19th in the pairwise. So they've gotten up there close to that bubble team. And speaking of CCHA standards, they're number 1 here in the CCHA. Again, a record in the conference 7-2-3 with 25 points. Again, 2 games in hand over a tie for first Michigan Tech. And so for Bemidji, home and home series, again, it's favored at University of Minnesota Duluth over the last couple of years. But Bemidji is a different team this year. We talked about it just with Max in the last episode. And not a segment for that, I should say. As you can tell, when you talk for so long by yourself, you just sort of lose your thoughts. But Bemidji having a chance to really sort of say, yes, we are a top echelon team. We belong in the top 20. They can get 1, if not 2 victories against University of Minnesota Duluth. And for the Bulldogs, they can sort of try to climb back on the conversation again with at least 1 win. If they get 2, even better from them. That would severely hurt Bemidji's chances to try to keep in that top 20. And for Duluth, it's not going to propel them up the standings, but certainly would make the case and try to wash away some of that woes they felt with that sweep against Wisconsin. So again, 2 of the panelists out this week. Christian under the weather. Hopefully he is feeling better next week. He should be back. And then for Alex, again, late schedule change. So we apologize for that. So again, Minnesota State having to go on the road this week, going against another CCHA rival And then for Bemidji State, again, a home and home with Duluth, another inner Minnesota matchup. We'll keep you all covered here on the MNCAA podcast for all the recaps, the predictions, and of course, the hot takes as we have here on this podcast. That will wrap things up here for our first episode after the after the new year, 2023. So thank you all for coming along the ride. There's still plenty of hockey to cover. Half the season, the second half starts now. I'm your host, Nick Maxon, and for all of our panelists, we wish you adieu, and we'll see you back next week.